Hello, Steamies. We've had the best list, and now it's time for the worst list. My top 10 worst episodes of the HiT era of Tobys and Friends. Again, this will be a relatively short and sweet video. If you want more rationale as to why I don't like these episodes, feel free to go back through the playlist and watch the top 10 best and worst list episodes. These are all my own personal opinions. Your list will be different from mine, and it's the one thing that makes the Tobys fandom so unique. Let me know in the comments what your worst episodes are. All I ask is that you be respectful, and above all, enjoy the video. Okay, let's dive in. Number 10, Saving Edward. The problems with Edward as a character are hammered home throughout these HiT era series, and it really bugged me. The only reason that it kind of saved it from being at a higher ranking on this list is that I recently watched a video from the YouTuber The Yellow Striker about some underrated HiT era episodes. And it got me thinking about this one because it was on the list. While I still don't think it's a good episode, I can respect other people's opinions in the fandom, and he did make some good points. I will put the link to the video in the description if you want to check it out. Number 9, Henry and the Wishing Tree. The reason that it's on the lower end of the worst list is that at least when they put this eco-warrior thing into the HiT era for Henry, they stuck to that as his character. They didn't have him being an eco-warrior 1 minute and then him all of a sudden rallying against like myths of climate change in the next. While I do think it's a bit of a stretch that he would believe that there is a magic wishing tree, I can kind of understand it in hindsight. There was continuity errors with Henry as a character throughout this era as well compared to the classic era, and I still am not the biggest fan of the changes to his resin faces, but it's not the worst. Number 8, Thomas, Emily, and the Snowplay. This, for me, was the introduction of Bitch Emily, and it was so jarring for me. I really did not like how this character was being portrayed. As I've said before, it's all right for characters to have flaws, as long as you can learn and grow from them and accept them as part of the personality of the character. But this was such a drastic change from season 7, where it's generic nice Emily, to series 8, complete bitch Emily. There was no kind of rational explanation as to why there was this sudden shift. Maybe that's something that we could look at in some fan content. Maybe the events of Emily's new coaches had a negative impact on how she was feeling as part of the team on the Ellen Sodor, and that's what led to Bitch Emily. And the CGI weather effects at this point weren't as up to scratch as I thought it was going to be. That being said, the story is still relatively okay, which is why it's lower down on the list. Number 7, Sticky Toffee Thomas. Oh dear God. Everything that could be said about this has already been said in previous review videos, and it's so well known in the fandom by now why this is bad. Watch my top 10 worst lists and you'll find out why. I just can't afford the brain power to talk about this. Number 6, Best Friends. You were probably wondering when a season 12 episode was going to pop up on this list. Again, I've covered it in the previous video. Friendship between Thomas and Percy is very forced. It's too cookie cutter, generic, and I just did not like the episode, especially for it being one of the last episodes of the model era. Number 5, Tobys Triumph. Should have been called Tobys Destruction, because that's what they done to this character. Toby in this era onwards is so different to the Toby that I love in the Railway series books and the classic era, and it just gets worse and worse. I'm sorry if you like this episode. Some of you do, and I respect that, but I just don't. I hate seeing characters that I grew up with being, quite frankly, butchered. Number 4, Scarlowe storms through. Speaking of being butchered, Scarlowe and Rhaenys had the biggest character assassinations of the HiT era. I will die on that hill. A lot of people have said if you make Scarlowe and Rhaenys' stories into prequel episodes, like who they used to be before they became the wise and revered engines that they became in the classic era, that it would make the stories better. And I agree with that to an extent. There's only so many times that you can excuse idiocy, because we have what we have. They establish these characters in the present as being dumbasses. And this is such a departure from the Scarlowe that I love and that a lot of the fans love. It boggles my mind to think that people thought this would be acceptable. Just because the engines are smaller doesn't mean they are babies. End of. Number 3, Thomas's Frosty Friends, the inflatable snowman. Thomas is such a dumbass in this. Even for HiT era standards, this episode is bad. I don't understand it. I can't comprehend as to why anybody would like this episode. If you do, again, that's fine. But for me, it was horrible. It just showed all of the glaring faults that were in the HiT era at this point. Number 2, Skarloey the Brave. Again, they make it an origin prequel kind of story. I still can't see this being a good episode. I am sorry. There's lots of content creators in the fandom that fall into that analogy of make it a prequel and we can excuse it. I can't. A bad episode in a bad era, but not as bad as number 1, Push Me, Pull You. Again, I am going against the grain on this one. Some people seem to actually like this episode, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe I'm just an old fart. I grew up with the original interpretations of these characters, and I do like the fact that in Skarloey's younger days in the Railway series, he was a prick. I have mentioned that in my Railway series analysis video. We all grow and learn and make mistakes. It's what happens in life, but this is meant to be after that. The only way I could even think that this is happening is because they have some sort of steam engine senile dementia. It's horrible. It's childlike, and it is, as I said previously, utter dog. And those are my worst episodes for the HiT era of Thomas and Friends. If you like any of the episodes on this list, I do apologise. Please let me know in the comments what would make your worst episodes list. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep on chugging.